Good afternoon. We're here with Shamar Denny, Miss Keola Young, and Miss Samantha Hudson, who we will have a discussion with as it pertains to BUD campaign 2024. So we'll ask Miss Hudson to start by giving us an introduction. Miss Hudson.
Okay. Good afternoon. My name is Samantha Hudson, and I'm a project officer at Childline. I work in Region 3, 8, and 9. I also conduct forensic interviews in those regions also.
All right. And Mr. Denny.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mr. Shamar Denny. As stated, I am the Parental Skills Officer at Childlink. My role is basically to work with the parents whose children are receiving counseling services from the organization and CACs, and hopefully help foster a better relationship between them and their children.
All right. And Miss Young.
Hi, good afternoon. So my name is Keola Young, and I'm a forensic interviewer, and I'm based in Latham at the CAC here in Region 9.
All right. So to get into our discussion for today, Mr. Denny, can you tell us what the Blue Umbrella Day campaign is all about?
Yes, thank you for that question. So the Blue Umbrella campaign, the Blue Umbrella Day campaign is really dedicated to raising awareness about sexual violence against boys. The main message, in essence, is to really shed light on this often overlooked issue. So, breaking the silence and really offering support to survivors, victims of
Mhm.
sexual violence. So, by wearing blue, and engaging in conversations, the campaign aims to send a powerful message of solidarity and advocacy for boys who've experienced sexual violence.
All right. And how about you, Miss Young? What is your understanding of the Blue Umbrella Day campaign? And if you can, while you're at it, if you can state what key messages you think should be coming out of such a campaign. You're muted.
Oh, great, thanks. All right, so the Blue Umbrella Day campaign 2024 is actually a global advocacy initiative which is aimed at protecting children, especially the boys, from child sexual abuse. And so far, we have organizations in 25 different countries coming together to speak on this issue. So, some of the key messages that we can look out for during the campaign is raising awareness. So, the campaign seeks to raise awareness on protecting boys, especially boys, on child sexual abuse. So, because this is one of the less talk about issues compared to the girls, and also it's going to address a few challenges such as lack of awareness, also, or lack of reporting, and also the scarcity in services that are offered for the boys.
All right. Not to move on from Miss Young as yet, you spoke of lack of reporting. Can you outline some steps that can be taken to minimize sexual abuse amongst boys?
Yeah, sure. So, preventing sexual abuse against boys is a very critical issue. And so we can look at education. Education is a very, very important role. So we can teach boys about their boundaries, about
Mhm.
consent, um, also about body autonomy when it comes at an early age, of course. And this would also include understanding what is appropriate and what is inappropriate behavior. And for both towards them and also to others. So also we can look at communication, open communication. I know sexual abuse is one of the difficult topics to talk about, and so we should be more open to talking about it, right? And sorry, so make sure that the boys know that they can come out and talk about it if they have experienced it or feeling uncomfortable about the situation about experiencing child sexual abuse. Another way we can also minimize it is to know the signs.
Right.
So yes, need to educate ourselves about the signs of abuse. So once you kind of recognize it, you know that yes, abuse is happening and you deal with it from there. Um, so yes, that's about it. Some of the steps that you can work on to
All
minimize child sexual
right.
abuse.
Miss,
Mhm.
all right, thank you. Miss Hodson, Miss Young spoke about identifying signs and knowing what to look for in boys who might be abused, who might be in situations where they're being sexually abused. Can you identify some of those signs or highlight some of them so that people who are watching would know what signs to look for if a child, a male specifically, is being abused?
Okay, so some of the signs you can look for is that sometimes the child might have been a happy-go-lucky, I might say, a social butterfly, and all of a sudden
Mhm.
that child's demeanor has changed. They now become withdrawn. They don't want to be touched. They have this sad look upon their face all the time. It's not like that's a marker, but that's something you can see. Um, you as a, become withdrawn. The way sometimes how they interact with their peers, right? Some children they wouldn't want to be touched. They become jumpy around adults and those things. Some children they become aggressive. They touch other children inappropriately and so on. And that was something you probably would have never seen before, but now that's something you're seeing. Um, the child might let me see. They might not want to. I'm trying to generalize it towards boys. Well, that's we work so much with girls that
Mhm.
but yeah, sometimes they become withdrawn. They don't want to talk. They don't want to be touched. Sometimes they become excessively touchy. Sometimes they don't, or they become what? I'm sorry, I'm kind of drawing a blank. But yeah, those are some of the things. They become withdrawn. The child demeanor might change over time, right? Some of the things also you can look for is one of the key things I think is that if you see your child, somebody is paying too much attention to one particular child in the area, I think that's something you need to look at. There's
Right.
a set of children here, but this person is just paying attention to that one child. Pay attention to it. If that child say they're not comfortable around an adult, don't force them. They might know why they might not be able to or feel comfortable to come and say, this person makes me uncomfortable or this person touched me in a way I don't like. But they might say, I don't like that person. They avoid that person. So those are things you look at, as parents and caregivers, you need to be vigilant among children.
All right. And those are definitely some key points to note to identify what or identify boys who might be in sexual abusive situations. Mr. Denny, can you identify or can you say how parents can be supportive to boys or children who might be sexually abused? I know some parents, a child might go report to them that they've been sexually abused, but the parent might not believe, or the parent might, debunk their claims and so. So what advice would you give to parents who would be in such situations?
Well, the advice that I would give to parents is to support their sons who might have been victims of sexual abuse. So, as you said, believe in them is the most important thing. Believe in them, listening to them without judgment, and seeking professional help. So, this could be from the counselors at the CAC or CPA, and really trying to get them the help they need to go through this whole process. So creating a supportive environment is one where the boys feel safe to express their feelings and experiences. I think that is essential in really getting to process this whole situation if your child has experienced sexual abuse.
All right. And Miss Young, as similar to what Mr. Denny said, how do you think parents, caregivers, or teachers can bring awareness to sexual abuse amongst boys? You're muted.
Sorry, I keep forgetting. All right. So raising awareness against boys, like, when it comes to deal with child sexual abuse, should be a collective effort between the parents, the guardians, teachers, whoever it is, the community. So some of the ways in which this can be done is to educate and open dialogue, start having conversations with children, in schools, in the homes, and also teach them about recognizing um, the signs, and also ways in which you can prevent child sexual abuse, especially violence against boys. We can also use age appropriate language and materials to educate them about their rights and their personal safety. Um, you can also have trainings and workshop done where you participate and um, in training and workshops, and also focus on identifying the signs of abuse, understanding the impact that abuse would have on the boys, especially since we're talking boys, and learn how to respond effectively to those. Mm, and also advocacy. We need to advocate, yes, advocate for policies, for better programs for the boys and services.
Right. And I know things like educating them, going into their schools and telling them what sexual abuse is so that they can be better aware as to if they're being sexual abused because they might be sexual abuse and they don't even know, even if it's verbal. Miss Hudson, can you outline some services that are offered by ChildLink or other agencies for boys who are being sexually abused, or what help is there for those males?
Well, I think the help that are available, it, they can go to the police, the nearest police station, and report it. Child Protection Agency, our CAC, and we have 8 CAC across Guyana. That's in region 5, 6, 4, 3, 8, and 9.
Mhm.
They can go to any one of those CAC if they feel comfortable and disclose, and we will help them through the process. And as I said, they can go to the nearest police station, child protection office, or call our 914 number and
Mhm.
report it. You know, those
Yeah.
are places that they can go to report sexual abuse. And if they're on the age, under the age of 16, that happens, they will come to the CAC for something called a forensic interview. And with that, we at ChildLink, we provide counseling and support for them to
Mhm.
help them through the process. And we don't just provide support to the child, but we also provide support to the parents, because sexual abuse doesn't just affect one person. And a lot of times the
Right.
parents are left to grapple with that feeling of, where did I go wrong, or what could I have done to protect my child? So we have to work with them also to create that
Mhm.
healing for them. Yes.
Yeah. All right. And Mr. Denny, statistics prove that around the world, 1 in 3 boys are sexually abused, and many are exploited or even exposed to sexual materials. What advice would you give to young males who might have been sexually abused, that might be afraid to speak out, that might be afraid to go tell a teacher, a counselor, or someone? What advice would you give to them?
Well, my advice to boys would be who might who might have been victims of sexual abuse is to know that it's not their fault. They weren't the reason why they were sexually abused. It's not their fault, and that they're not alone, and that help is available. Like Ms. Samantha just mentioned, there are a lot of services they can access, and
Mhm.
that it's important to speak up and to seek support from trusted adults, adults that they trust. So I think that my advice would be is that healing is possible and that they really deserve to receive the support and the care that they need. So they're not alone. They can get help.
All right, thank you. And just to remind our viewers that on April 16th every year, Family for Every Child draws attention to sexual abuse amongst boys. And lastly, to wrap up our discussion, if you guys can give any information to young boys who might be sexually abused as to where they can report. I know Miss Hudson highlighted some, but if there are any others where they can report or who they can report instances of sexual abuse or misconduct to, you guys can all identify some. We can start with Miss Young.
All right, so since I'm in Region 9 and probably persons from Region 9 are looking on, so some of the places where boys or anyone can report any sort of sexual abuse against them. So it can be right here at the at the CAC, which is located in the Education Department compound. So you can come in here, just walk in, and you can report it right here, or at the CAC, sorry, the Child Protection Office, which is also right here in the education um, compound. So, and the police station. So you can also tell your teachers or anyone that you trust, so you can report those there as well. So those are some places where you can do your reporting.
All right, thank you. And
Oh,
Miss Hudson?
I think we would have highlighted the most important, most of them, but one of the things I would like to say is tell a trusted adult. And if that trusted adult didn't do something, tell another trusted adult. Because we've had cases where children went to an adult and say, hey, this happened to me, but nobody did. That person didn't do anything. That shouldn't be
Mhm.
the end of the rope. Tell somebody until somebody do something. All
Yeah.
right?
And Mr. Denny?
But I think we've highlighted most, if not all, of what they could really do. So I would agree with my colleagues and what they have contributed to the discussion in terms of where the children them could really go and access services and who to go to. Let's say a trusted adult. So yeah, I think everything will be mentioned.
All right. And I know for sure that any information that they might share would definitely be confidential, so they don't have to worry about that. And just to remind our viewers also that this year the Blue Umbrella Day campaign is taking place in 25 countries, which is six more than last year. So thank you guys for your time and thank you for such an informative discussion and hope to see you and chat with you again. Thank you.
Yeah.
all right, thank you too for having us.
Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.